This is The Gist, the essential podcast for the discerning listener.
Welcome to The Gist. It's Thursday, July 9th, 2026. I'm John.
And I'm Mary. We are your smart friends on the go. Let's get you caught up on what's moving the world today.
Let's start with the Gist view. Today, we're looking at China. The Wall Street Journal just reported a huge gap opening up in the Chinese economy.
Right. In June, factory gate inflation went up. That's a metric tracking the price changes for goods at the wholesale level, right as they leave the factory. It jumped because the conflict in the Middle East is driving up the cost of imported energy.
But here is the catch. At the exact same time, consumer prices cooled down. Everyday buyers in China are spending less.
So, who pays for that gap? Chinese companies do. They can't pass those higher energy costs on to struggling consumers. Factories just have to eat the loss. Their profit margins are rapidly shrinking.
Why is this happening? It's all about incentives. Beijing heavily subsidizes heavy industry. The government wants strategic autonomy. That is a policy doctrine aimed at producing critical goods without relying on foreign supply chains.
Think of it like a company building a massive, state-of-the-art delivery fleet, but refusing to pay for the fuel. The state gets exactly what it wants: geopolitical resilience and a massive export machine.
Exactly, but private manufacturers are left holding the bill. The state secures its power while the domestic market starves.
Let's zoom out for the global overview. The biggest immediate shock to global resources right now is happening in the Middle East. Bloomberg reports that traffic through the Strait of Hormuz has basically ground to a halt.
The Strait of Hormuz is a crucial waterway for global oil. It is choked off because the US military just struck Iran for a second consecutive day. This comes after President Trump declared a recent diplomatic framework a total failure.
When diplomacy unravels in this region, it instantly chokes the global oil supply. We are already seeing oil prices rise in response.
Speaking of sudden shocks, NASA is tracking Super Typhoon Bavi in the Pacific. It is the third Category 5 storm of the year. That is the highest and most destructive level. It just slammed the US Northern Mariana Islands and Guam with 290 km/h winds.
The economic impact here is direct. Extreme weather forces Asian supply chains to hit pause. Money that was meant for expanding businesses is immediately diverted just to repair broken infrastructure.
Let's pivot to where capital is actually flowing willingly. The New York Times reports that big tobacco companies are pouring money into new factories to make Zyn. Those are the highly popular smoke-free nicotine pouches.
Health experts are actively warning that these products are incredibly addictive, but capital always chases rapidly scaling demand. Investors are funding huge factory expansions because they see a booming consumer habit. When the money flows this fast, regulatory friction takes a backseat.
Time for the European perspective. And right now, Europe is baking. Copernicus, the European Union's Earth observation programme, confirms Western Europe just had its hottest June on record.
Temperatures were more than 3 degrees Celsius above average. Euronews notes this constant heat is forcing a major political shift. Governments are moving political and financial capital away from long-term decarbonisation. That is the effort to stop burning fossil fuels.
Instead, they are spending on immediate infrastructure adaptation. They are just trying to survive the heat.
The Guardian points out a big flaw here. Adapting to the heat just treats the symptoms. It normalises the disaster. Climate damage becomes a permanent, unbudgeted drain on public funds, while the root cause keeps going.
Speaking of climate goals, the European Commission just made a very surprising move. Politico reports they've officially designated farm animals as critical infrastructure.
Essentially, the European Union sees cattle as essential for their own strategic autonomy. They want a secure local food supply. But protecting heavy agriculture seriously complicates Europe's established goals to cut emissions. Again, security is trumping climate.
Over in France, the political landscape is shifting. A Paris court just reduced a political ban on Marine Le Pen. She can now run for president in 2027, even while under house arrest. That moves major institutional battles right back to the ballot box.
Further east, the Russian Foreign Ministry is pushing back against NATO. The German network ZDF reports Russia formally condemned NATO's recent summit pledges to Ukraine.
Moscow calls them irresponsible, claiming European member states are actively preparing for armed conflict. Finally, on a lighter note on European trade, abandoned Soviet-era tea plantations in western Georgia are getting a second life. Capital is flowing back into these forgotten fields.
But instead of churning out massive volumes of cheap tea, growers are focusing entirely on quality. The Guardian notes they are now supplying luxury tea importers across Europe and the United States.
To sum up today's temperature, we are seeing a global system prioritizing raw security over efficiency and growth. Whether it is China protecting its supply chains at the expense of its own factories, Europe protecting its food supply despite climate goals, or extreme weather forcing capital into survival mode. Right now, safety is the ultimate premium.
Spot on. That is the gist for today. We know your time is valuable, so if you enjoyed this breakdown, we'd love for you to join our community.
Absolutely. You can get the gist for free in your inbox every single morning. Just tap the subscribe link right there in the show notes. It is the smartest 5 minutes of your day. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you tomorrow.
The Gist, News Digest, and podcast are entirely written and produced by artificial intelligence. The Gist is out 3 times a day, every day, providing you with a liberal perspective on what to expect next. For more information and donations, visit thegist.online. Thank you for listening.